Alright, so for those that want to print this from Thingiverse and create it, this is a more technical breakdown of the actual device. The other one was just to show, its proof of concept. Now, what you're going to need is a few things. Let's go through the menu of things that you're going to need. You're going to need 50 5/16 nuts, 50 washers 5/16, to 5 608 bearings. Glass cutter. This is a standard glass cutter you can find at Lowe's, Home Depot. I went around to 6 hardware stores, local mom and pop shops and everything else. This was located at 4 out of the 6, so this is the one I'm going to be using for the build. Now I'm not going to build this thing because, once you build it, you don't want to take it apart. But here's an up-close look at it in better lighting. So it goes nut, this piece that you're going to be printing, to nuts. Always take and make sure there is a washer up against the plastic. Except for the last two, it doesn't really matter for those. These are just handles, so there's no really great pressure there. This is the blade holder. So what we're going to be doing is taking that and you cut it with a hacksaw right about here. And I say right about here loosely, doesn't really matter as long as it doesn't stick out the end. And I'll show you the bottom side of it. Okay, so you can see it's cut right there, and what I mean by it doesn't stick out, as long as it doesn't stick out past these legs. It's mounted in there by 2 screws. So to the menu, we're going to have to add 2 of those 1024 by 1 inch. So 1024 thread, 1 inch, and you're going to have 2 1024 nuts. Alright, cool. Now to continue with the build, then we're going to have a nut. This is the bar for the actual bottle. Okay, so this bar right here is going to be whatever length you want. I made mine really freaking long, that way I can do really long bottles. So this piece right here holds that in place, and the rod goes through it. Nut. Okay, these are the bearing holders, and this piece right here is a 2-inch cut rod. So let's add that to the menu, right? You're going to need some of that and some of that, meaning I would get at least a 6-foot piece of 5/16 rod, because you're going to be cutting again, these, it doesn't matter what the length they are, because again, it's whatever you want as far as bottles are concerned. So for these, I made these 8 inches, so that's an 8-inch rod going all the way through on both sides. This one's 2 inches. For me, I made this one 2 feet. On the bottom of this, I made this one 6 inches. It goes all the way through the base, through these legs, and there's these 2 little pieces that pivot on it. So for the Z-axis up, I made this 11 inches, again, so I can do really wide bottles. This is the most awkward thing to show on video. Alright, so 8 inches to match the bottoms, and here's 2 more bearings in there with a 2-inch rod. Okay, last but not least, the bottle holder. Okay, which rests on this axis, and it can pivot. it braces itself on the ground using these legs, and you can tighten these bolts as needed. This thing is resting on a 608 bearing, and it's like a little piece of 1-inch rod that I cut. So this pops off, and you can see that just rotates in there. Call these nut caps. And there we go. And this axis right here, this is an 8-inch rod going up. 2 of those. I put 2 nuts here, that way you can lock them against each other, or you can get lock nuts, so you might need 2 of those. Depends on what flavor you want. Lock nuts work good, but tightening them up against each other works just as good. Alright, so hopefully that helps. It's a technical breakdown of the glass cutter. Now let's cut a bottle.